What's going on, guys? Let's crank up another one. All right, guys, we're not messing around. We're going to dive right into this one. So I want to show you guys what we got going. So I do have a whole stack of 1/4-inch plate here. So I got 5 sheets. They are 5x10 sheets. This is the maiden voyage for the table running a 5x10 sheet. So you can see I've got it all loaded up. And I do have a design drafted up here. So originally I had this drafted so that I only had to break it twice. And then I would only have to weld 4 sides. But my new brake is not here yet. So I decided, instead of cutting all these parts out, hauling them into Salt Lake, for me to source out the brake work and have another company break these, they wanted 500 bucks. So that's 500 bucks out of my pocket just to have them break them. And yes, it would save some time fabbing them up and tacking them up and fitting them and welding them together. But I don't think it's going to take all that much more time. It's a pretty simple design, so we'll see how this goes. We're going to burn one, and then we're going to clean it up and start fitting it up. We'll see how it goes. What this is for a little roller support to support piping. So one of the customers that we've done a lot of work for in the past was actually the customer that we did a lot of drill bits for. They got bought out. It's kind of a long story. They got bought out, and ever since they got bought out, we really haven't done any drill bits for them. So we'll go ahead and get this one cut out, and we'll get our parts over at the table. We'll start cleaning them up, and then we'll give you guys a look at how we plan on fitting them up and getting them all tacked up. So let's do it. All right, guys, we got our parts all cleaned up. Me and Bridger have gone through. We knocked off all the dross. We cleaned off all of the plasma slag off the edges because we're going to run a stitch pattern on an open corner, and you can't have that plasma slag on there or it'll give you pinholes. So now that we've got it to this point, we're probably going to jump into time lapse, and we'll set up and we'll go ahead and start tacking this up. What's going on, guys? We're back out here tonight, and I want to give you a quick update. So we did get our first roller stand done. I want to give you a look at it. There's some things that I am not real happy with. Sometimes that's the way it goes. This was kind of a maiden voyage. They told us what they wanted, and we just kind of ran with the idea and tried to make it work to the best of what they wanted. We had a couple pictures, but I went to brainstorming, and sometimes the road can be a little rocky. So I'm going to show you guys what we got. So I have texted the customer. They've seen it, and they actually love it. So they're happy with it already, and if they're happy with this one, then they should be happy with the rest, because there's a lot of things that I'm unhappy with that I'm going to change. The size of the opening, I'm going to tighten this up a little bit, make it a little closer to the roller. How close the bearings are to the roller, I want to tighten this up. You can see the shaft doesn't run to the outside of the bearing. I don't like that. So I'm going to tighten that up, tighten this up, and I will be able to make the size consistent It's a different size this way than it is this way. So I'm gonna make that the same. I did draft another one, and after brainstorming, I'm not sure why I didn't think of this sooner, but there is a way I can break this because this is shorter than 24 inches. So I think this is gonna save me some time. So I did burn one of these. I'm not gonna burn the rest of the parts till I know this is gonna work. So I'm gonna grab this one, I'm gonna lay it out. I'm gonna lay out this line and I'm gonna break it and see if I end up with what I want. If I do, I'm gonna burn the second one and I'm gonna try fitting them. Once I fit those up, I wanna come back and I wanna check the top plate and the bottom plate and make sure the sizes are right to where I can get a nice open corner. As long as everything checks out, I'll go ahead and I'll burn my top plate, my bottom plate, and we'll put it all together. But I don't wanna end up wasting a bunch of plate. 5x10 sheets are not cheap, so I'm gonna go ahead and we'll burn this one, lay it out, break it, check it, and if everything checks out okay, then we'll go ahead and move on to the next one. But I'm only gonna burn one piece at a time just because I wanna make sure they're right. I screwed up the top plate on this one, and I didn't mention that. So the top plate was wrong. I had to cut it apart and widen it and weld these in. So you can see I did that. It looks okay, but it's just one of those things you get ticked off at yourself for because you didn't think about it. Sometimes that's just the voyage. It's not always smooth sailing. So, all right, let's see how this turns out. Close. Ooh, dang close. Is that brake here yet? That last one felt a little too much. So it was just a hair too much, but we can bend it back. Especially something this big. All right, let's get this back over to the table. All right, guys, good news. And our joints are looking pretty dang good. So we're gonna be able to have a nice open corner. We'll be able to tack that bottom. You can see the top is a little bit out, but we can pull that together and tack it, no problem. So I like the way this is looking. It's gonna save us about 25% of welding where we broke the two sides like that. I checked the measurements on the top and bottom and they look good. So we'll go ahead and bounce into time-lapse mode and see if we can't get this one knocked out.
Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we're gonna let it out. Tonight we're gonna let just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now. We know that there's no room for doubt. No, we can't turn back now. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna light it up. Tonight we gonna light it up, babe. Tonight we gonna light it up. Just like the sunrise, we gonna light it up.
All right, guys, we got version 2.0 here, and we got a roller sitting here. So we're gonna get the bearings unboxed. We'll get the bearings put on our roller. We'll set the roller, we'll get our bolts in, and then version 2.0 will be done. So we'll go ahead and do that now. These bearings are no joke. Quite large. Some of these, like this one, there's a little ding on the end of the shaft from people getting rowdy with it. So I've had to take emery cloth, clean them up so that I can get the bearings on. This is probably good practice anyway. When you're putting bearings on, it's always a good idea to make sure there's no burrs or anything. It makes things complicated when you try to slide a bearing on and there's a burr and it locks up the bearing on the shaft. There we go. Ugh. Ooh, I like the way this one fits a lot better. Alright. I ordered some 3/4 by 3" grade 5 bolts, a flat washer on either side, and then a nylock. This is one of those things, if you're bidding jobs like this, it's easy to forget the hardware, but it's also easy to start losing money if you do forget hardware because it's expensive. It's always a good idea to make sure when you're bidding a job, just try to make sure to look the whole project over in your mind or whatever it is. If you have prints, that definitely helps. And think, you know, what is everything that I need for this? What are all my expenses? So the stick out on our shaft on either side is not consistent kind of bugs me, but that's out of our control. So I'm measuring the gap between the roller and our lip here. It is very close. So we're gonna get that as close as possible. These bearings are sealed and they should have come greased from the factory. And it's not good to over grease them, so I'm just gonna leave them alone. All right, so version 1, version 2.0. The things I like about version 2.0 is we've made the opening smaller. It's not quite as big. That gives more mass on either side of the roller, gives it more rigidity. We've narrowed up our distance that our bearings are from our roller. I don't really like how far apart this one was. It's gonna work, but this was one of those trial and error things. We also made our cross sections here a 1/2 inch narrower, and in turn it made the openings a little bit bigger. It cuts down on weight, still gives it the rigidity it needs. We did break 2 sides. That did save us some time in welding. Sure wish that brake was here. So we do have 3 more of these to build. Now that we've got the design mastered, I'm just gonna go ahead and burn the rest of the parts. I've got 3 more sheets of 1/4 inch plate, 5x10 sheets. Sorry if you guys can't hear me. They're cutting hay behind us. It's just the price you pay for living in God's country. So there was a lot of stuff that we learned on this project. You can see that it didn't go perfectly. And I don't know that I've ever had a project that does. Maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just because of me. But luckily on this project, I sent this to the customer. They were really excited about this design. And I thought, well, there's still some things that I could make better. So I did. And I think they're gonna be happy with it. They are the same height, so that didn't change. But the footprint changed just a little bit. And like I said, all the modifications that we made that I think are gonna make it more user-friendly. They'll be able to get their forks through the cutouts on the sides so that they can move them around with a forklift. They could rig them up on the roller with a strap. So they've got options. I think it's gonna work well for what they need to do. It's functional, it's strong. So I think that's gonna wrap this one up. Thanks for watching this week's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. See you on the next one. The things I like about version 2.0, we've smallened, goodness. I think that's gonna wrap this one up. Thanks for watching